I'm so sorry. I wish somebody told me. I wasn't seeing the chats. Sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I have the luxury of going over what I talked about. So I'll just throw the floor open to anyone that has any questions.
So guys, I think, okay, we already have the hand. Please ask questions, right? Like I shared when we started, the goal is not to tell you do X, Y, Z. The goal is to know what is like going to meet a doctor, right? Every case of malaria, let me use malaria for example. Every case of malaria is different and peculiar, right? So we'll not treat case A the same way we treat case B. So any question you want to ask, because I'm just thinking, what this thing has explained so far, what is so special about the product manager? The product manager is not doing anything. So why do we really need him? Like just layman from my head, right? But again, it's not my own turn to ask question yet. Fatima, I saw your hand first, so you can unmute and ask some questions or questions.
Thank you for yeah, okay. So good morning. You mentioned that you started as a software engineer. So for entry level product managers, how are you supposed to run through it? Because almost like most people that transition, or should I say transition, or that into product management now, they started as software engineers or designers. So how does the total novice kick off after taking the after taking courses and everything? And then even after taking courses, most people tell you don't have experience, and that's like the major key. So how do you break into the job space without previous experience?
All right, thanks. Thank you for that question. That's a very interesting question. So I think it's important to state that you don't necessarily need a tech background to break into it. I have to be honest with you. Unless maybe you want to be a technical product manager, and that might require some sort of technical background. I would say less than 10% of the product managers I know even have a software engineering background, right? A large percentage of the product managers I know do not have a software engineering background. Those of us with software engineering background, I think we are very, very few, if I will be totally honest with you. And how do you now break into that space? How do you get your foot in the door? The truth of the matter is that it is easier for you if you are within the tech space and you're already working in a company, and you now break into the role from your current organization. I hear you and I agree with you when you say a lot of organizations don't want to hire people without some sort of experience, right? And one of the ways you can break in is by doing that from your current organization. Now, some of the organizations I worked with Babangona at some point, and at the same time, about 3 experienced product managers, we left at about the same time. And what the company did was just to transition people from other roles into the product management role. And the way you can do that is by taking courses, then talking to your HR, right? And letting them know that, okay, you would like to break into this particular role. I know some people that joined certain organizations because they wanted to join the product management team, and there was no position for them within the product management department. They joined a different department and they volunteered to work freely for the product managers at some point, and gradually that's how they got their foot into the door. So one step is to join an organization and try to find your way into the product management place. The other things too you can do, right? I'm going to use my younger sister as an example. She studied law. She did not have any science background. She did not have any technical background. She did not have any computer science background. And what she did was that she took a course with, I think she took a course with Utiva. And when she took a course with Utiva, she spoke to a particular company and volunteered to work for free. She resigned from her previous role and decided to work as an intern for free with the product team. She worked for free for about 2 months and she did pretty well. And the guy was like, do you know what? We're just going to retain you. Retained her, offered her a very good salary. And right now she's going through the ranks. I believe in the next 1 year, she's going to transition from an associate product manager to a mid-level product manager, right? So that's another thing you can do. There's really no defined path as to how you can break in. But what I will advise is that if you are finding it difficult to get your foot in the door, take courses, build yourself, of course, then grow your network, right? Because the product management thing is you need the skill set on one hand, and you also need the right network on the other hand, right? So grow your network, reach out to people, cold message people, cold email people, tell them you want to work for free. Trust me, if you do that well enough, at least there's somebody somewhere that is going to say, do you know what, let's give this person a chance. I don't know if that answers some of the questions you might have, Fatima.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Sharon.
Sorry, before I bring up the next person, for me, next. Sorry for me. So just to follow up on what you've said, one of the things you mentioned was technical product manager, and also it's just so that as we proceed, what are the different types of product managers available? Which one should we be looking at? And now this is, will I say directly at you? Would you say being a technical product manager, like you said, there are very few of you, is more of an edge in this space, right? So, because again, background, a number of people on this call don't have the tech foundation. We met via a teaching fellowship, like when I code DMD. So just touch on that briefly before for me comes up.
Right. So I think it's relative, really. In some sense, my technical background has given me some advantages. I think for my current role, as a product manager in my current company, there are times you have to look through data and query certain database. And querying those databases will mean you have to write SQL, right? So probably that was something that gave me an edge too at some point, because they know that, okay, this guy might not necessarily have problem with analyzing data. But at the same time too, I've lost an opportunity I would have joined Facebook, and I lost an opportunity with joining Facebook because I had the technical background. And the recruiter said they needed a product manager that did not have a technical background, that had a business background. So you see, it's relative to what the organization might want at that particular time. Some people, so this is also one disadvantage with people that have technical background, if I'll be honest with you. Some people with technical backgrounds could be very analytical in their thinking, right? They're not thinking of how they will generate more revenue for the company or solve customer problems. Some of them are just thinking about solving very complex and difficult problems. And some organization might not want that. So it's relative. And that's why I had to go and take an MBA, so that I neutralize my analytical way of thinking and start thinking like a businessman. So it's relative to what your organization wants. And just to speak of the different kind of product managers, there are technical product managers. And of course, yes, it's a growing part. There's a need for that, but it's not as much as some of the other product management careers that might exist. There are growth product managers. For you to be a growth product manager, you don't necessarily need a technical background, right? A marketing and sales background is, it's even more of importance for those that are growth product managers. There are also data product managers, and I think there are about 5. I can't remember. I don't keep them at the top of my head, but you can read up about them online. But to just break in, you just start out as a vanilla product manager, that is a bland, open product manager. And from there, you can just rise through the ranks and work your way into any focus area.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. I think that helps. For me, you can unmute and ask now.
Okay, I have quite a lot of questions, but the first one I will ask is that, what would you advise a entry level, mid level that join the company, but the stakeholders are not available. They do not know what they want. They just dump the whole product idea on you, and they tell you that because they don't know what they want, they have been giving. They know that product managers are not giving autonomous authority to flesh out the product as they want. But this one now, you can do it anything you like. But all the business questions, you are left to do it all by yourself. Like, you are the one that is doing every operational flow, everything. More like say you are building the business for them. Is that advisable? First of all, for an entry level or for a mid-level PM, because I think that you should always have your stakeholders available. They should help you answer questions, critical questions for the business, and you can't do everything by yourself. But what would you advise in this case?
Yeah, ideally, to be honest with you, ideally that's not supposed to be the case. Like I stated earlier, the product manager is not supposed to work in isolation. The product manager is part of a team, right? And it's supposed to be a team effort. The product manager is just supposed to be the one facilitating a lot of conversations and documentations that's happening. That's not supposed to be the case. And I have worked with some Nigerian startups, both as a contractor and full-time, and I understand what you are saying, right? The kind of support I'm getting here is quite different from the kind of support I was getting when I worked with Nigerian companies. Yeah, I can just code Slack people, and within that same day or the next day, I'm already jumping on a Zoom call, asking questions. They're telling me that if you need anything, Slack me, send me a message, and they are very supportive. But that was not really the case when I was working with some Nigerian companies. And some Nigerian companies also put you into the deep ocean, right? And when you get into that very turbulent place, they just leave you there and you have to find your way around. I know it could be a very difficult place, but this is the catch. If you are able to survive through the difficult time in Nigerian companies putting you through within the product management space, trust me, you will thrive anywhere in the world. It could be very difficult, but if you can somehow find your way and navigate your way through all the chaos, it will be easy for you to stand anywhere. So this is what I'm going to say. While going through that experience could be really frustrating, if you are able to come up with a strategy that allows you survive, right, you are going to grow exponentially more than somebody that just had everything going for him. But I totally agree with you. That's not supposed to be the ideal state, right? But if you are able to find your way to come out of that deep ocean, it's actually could be good for your growth. So I'm going to use software engineering as an example. Let's say there are two software engineers, right? That just started out their software engineering career. And one is working with a very fresh company, no stress. They'll probably give you one ticket and you have one sprint to complete that ticket in 2 weeks. The ticket is probably a bug fix, right? And within 3 hours in a day, you are done with your work for the day. That's software engineer one. And on the other hand, we have another software engineer that is working on a very complex product so that in a sprint, he has to cancel 5 tickets. He can't use the normal 8 hours in a day. He has to do like 10, 12 hours in a day. If we drop these two software engineers, right, and we leave them on their paths, and they go on like that for the next 1 to 2 years. Now, this is what is going to happen after a while. This guy, we probably just have 1 year worth of experience because of the kind of things he's doing. The other guy, because of the kind of complex problem he has been forced to solve, you realize that in 2 years, what he knows is like 5 year worth of experience. And that's why you begin to see that there are certain software engineers, I'm sure you might have known of some software engineers from Nigeria that will tell you that they started coding 2 years ago. But today they will tell you that they are engineering managers. I know people like that. Someone that started coding in 2017 in Nigeria, here in Germany, is an engineering manager for one of the popular tech companies in Germany. Why? He has been solving complex problems right from when he was in Nigeria. So in as much as it can be frustrating, if you're able to come up with a strategy to navigate that problem, you are going to grow exponentially more than somebody that is just gliding through it easy. So this is what I'm going to advise you to do. Probably talk with a more senior person, talk with different stakeholders, talk with different people, come up with a strategy to solving that particular complex problem. And if for any reason you can solve that complex problem, you're going to be better for it at the end of the day.
I left. I left.
All right. You said you had another question.
Yeah, I think for me, fortunately, it's being recorded, so you get the recording to miss the part that you missed. So you can just move to the next question.
Thank you. That really answered that question a lot. Yeah. The second one is how to constantly remove yourself, or better still, pass your career from being a project manager to being a product manager, because it is too related, both of them, though they're different. And then as a product manager, you are working in a project-led company, a company that treats their product as projects. How do you grow your career in that kind of place? You constantly want to put yourself in the product shoes, but you see yourself just documenting, just shipping a product and then handing it over, and you don't know anything that is happening anymore about the products. And then that is not even helping your career, because when you now talk to other people and they ask you, oh, so what are you measuring for this your product that you ship? You can't say anything because it's no longer in your hands. How do you navigate that kind of thing?
Okay. So before I answer the question, it's important I state this, right? You see, this product management career is very dynamic. So if you've probably checked out my profile and probably heard about me, I've worked with different kind of people before. And this is what I'm going to tell you for free. It's as though no two organizations are the same. So you might feel like, I'm not doing this product management thing. You join another company. What is required of you is very different. I've joined a company that what defines success is heavy documentation. For another company, what defines success was communication. For another company, what defines success was your ability to come up with the flow chart, come up with the solution and the direction that they want to take. So this is what I will always tell you, right? You just focus on being a problem solver for your organization. As a product manager, you should be fluid enough to know what it is that your organization is lacking and know what they need. Then blend yourself to fit into solving their problem. So if what is going to solve the problem of your company is by using an hammer to hit the nail every single day, keep doing that. If what is going to solve the problem for your company is by dancing, keep doing that, because when you jump ship companies, at some point, you realize that what each company will need is going to be different. So what I would say is focus on you being a problem solver for what your company is facing, right? And making sure that your company achieve what it is that they want at the end of the day. All right. Don't overbother yourself that, oh, my friend is doing something else and I'm doing something else. If you join a company, maybe your friend's company tomorrow, all you just need to do is to adapt to what your friend's company needs to be successful and focus on it. These things are not difficult to change, really. You just need a while and proper onboarding. After 3 to 6 months, trust me, you'd have adapted to a new style and a new kind of company. And if you feel that, okay, you are in your current company and after a while, you are not growing, you guys are not doing anything innovative, then you can come up with a long-term career plan, define your vision. And if your vision requires that you join a different organization, then you should by all means do that. I read the research that millennials, especially within the tech space, work for at least 4 companies within their first 10 years, right? And it's things like this that really make people to join an organization that aligns with their long-term career plan. I'm not giving you bad advice, but just throwing it out there.
Thank you, Shim. Thank you so much.
Yep. I think
Okay.
Sam. Yeah.
I think before Sam, we run to the chat. Yeah, thanks for me. You really came prepared. So we have a question from Kudro. I hope I'm right with your pronunciation. Can you share with us some product management courses we can take?
Okay. So I think I did a thread about this one time on Twitter. This is what I would advise in terms of taking product management courses. If you just jump to Udacity, Udemy, blah, 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 those courses might prepare you for what to expect in a very global company, but you realize that some of the things you might learn might not necessarily be applicable to the space where you are in Nigeria. So if you want to take a product management course, this is what I will advise. Straight up, go for one of the indigenous, especially if you are breaking in within the Nigerian space, right? Go for one of the indigenous product management courses like Product Dive, Utiva, if possible. Now, why do I advise that? First, they give you a general sense of what to expect in product management globally. Then they also give you of what to expect within our space. And like I stated earlier, the product management career breaking in is a two-edged sword. One hand, you need the skill sets. On the other hand, you need the network. So just doing a random online course that doesn't help you grow your network is not so advisable. But let's say you go to, let's say, Product Dive, you go to Utiva, you are meeting other learners. You are meeting with certain instructors within the space. And if you're a very good communicator, you use that to build your network. I know some of us that did Product Dive at the same time, right? After our classes, so we're sharing opportunities amongst ourselves. So the way some people got jobs is not necessarily by what you even learned in class. Of course, what we learned in class prepared you for for your job, but the way we got the actual job was through the recommendation of one of your classmates. So when going for a course, that would be my advice if you're in the Nigerian space. In fact, if you're in Europe, I will advise you that certain courses too here. It's just best to go through that part so that you are building both your skill and you are building your network at the same time.
Okay, thank you, Phil. So guys, there you have it. Start from what you have at home. Don't go to Sokoto for what you're using your Sokoto. Okay, so Rita has a question. Can you share more knowledge about roadmap, what it consists and its importance, and also which of the project management tool is more efficient and recognized for roadmap?
Okay, let me answer the last question first. There's really no tool that I would say is the best. The idea of what roadmaps you do is to be able to communicate the direction your company is taking, right? So that you can define what you want to achieve in Q1, Q2, Q3, and we have a timeline. So if just know what works for your organization, really. If your organization prefers to see things on a spreadsheet, then by all means create your roadmap on a spreadsheet. If your organization is very heavy on Jira and everybody's always looking on Jira for what it is that they need, then create your roadmap on Jira. So in terms of tool, it is organization agnostic, and it depends on what your organization, people within your organization understand best and what they use the most. That is what I would advise you as the tool that you should use for creating a roadmap. So that answers the last question that she asked. Then for the first question, can you share knowing about roadmap? Roadmap is a very, very broad topic. I mean, we could have a session like this talking about only roadmaps, where I would first take 20 to 30 minutes to give a presentation on roadmap. They would use another 30 minutes to answer questions on roadmap. So I don't think it's something that I can really deal with right now. But if there's like a Slack group, or if you send me a DM, I can send you some helpful link that you can check out that does, and they do, and I think they do very good justice to treating the entire conversations around roadmaps. So
Yeah. Thank you, Sheol. Rita, I hope that helps. You can always, if it's okay, on Twitter, DM me on Twitter at Sheol Zone. You'd respond. Thank you. Sam, you can ask your question. Shame, I want to
Hello.
repost it. That was
Yeah,
to me.
hello. Good day, everyone.
Good day, Sam.
Thank you, our facilitator, for all the insights you've shared. Actually, for me, currently I work as a software engineer, and my objective actually of coming to this platform, although I'm not planning to move into product management like soon, is just to get like more idea. There's this product I've been working, I've been building on the side, and I've been the one like shouldering everything, creating all the tags, running sprint, and all the rest of that. But I think on the technical side, just like you've mentioned, some of the things you've shared have actually helped to give perspective to some of the things I've been passing through, managing all of that. So on the technical part, I think I'm really not missing much. I think I'm okay. But I think is on the business side that is missing. For example, I'm really trying to figure out pricing, research, marketing, and all the whole stuff related to like the profitability, launching, and all the rest of that, which is the business side of it. And just like you mentioned, I think from what you've said, I've tried to like use them to X-ray myself. I think I'm kind of more heavy on the technical part, but on the business side, I think that part is still missing. So my this thing is that, is there like maybe resources, or maybe what are the possible route I can take in order to complete or to bridge the missing parts, so that like the other side, I know I'm supposed to like maybe get someone who does the project management thing, but why waiting for the person to show up? Like, what would you advise that maybe I do? Are there possible materials or forum that maybe I can reach out for resources or stuff to help navigate through all of that? That's one. Then two, can we maybe connect with you on Slack or something?
okay. I mean, that's a very brilliant question. So to connect with me, I think we can just connect on LinkedIn and Twitter. I don't have a dedicated Slack mentorship channel or something, at least for now. Even myself, I'm still learning. So, but I just dropped my Twitter, and you can send a DM on Twitter and probably a message on LinkedIn. Yeah, I can respond there. And what you said is actually very profound and a very brilliant question, because, you know, I have a software engineering background like you, and I quite understand what you are saying. You, just to give context, right? If somebody defines a problem or comes up with a problem and tells it to two people, one person is probably a very brilliant software engineer, very technical in their thinking, and the other person is probably a random salesperson. I realized that sometimes when you define these two problems to these two people, while the software engineer is thinking of very complex solution, like building an AI to do this, machine learning to do this, machine learning to do that, the other person will just come up with a very simple solution. Why not just do this? Something that is very cost effective and it solves the problem, right? So there's that need to be able to diffuse the way you think as a very analytical and technical person. So these were some of the things I did that helped me, and I think it will help you too. So one of the things I did was I actually took a course with Product Dive. I was with their cohort 1. We're not doing it online, we're going to a physical location then, I remember. So that course really helped me. I was seeing things from a more broader perspective, right? So taking those kind of courses would really help. Then I took one course on Udemy. And I think it really helped me. I think I had to watch certain lessons 2 times, 3 times. And the name of that course on them is MBA in a Box. So I just typed the title. So I took this particular course on Udemy, MBA in a Box. It's a very, very good course. They made use of very, very good illustrations, and it just made sense. It helped me. In fact, it was after taking MBA in a Box, I decided I was going to do my master's in business administration, not in software engineering or data science or anything, right? So that I was going to have that business sense. So if you are not ready to take an MBA at this time and you just want something that will quickly help you to solve some of the current problems you are facing, I would advise you to take that particular course, MBA in a Box. Then, of course, joining products, Slack communities, attending online webinars, right? There are lots of online webinars. Don't limit yourself to the webinars and online stuff happening just here in Nigeria. I think in this month alone, I've registered for like 4 online webinars. Product management communities in the US, product management communities in Europe. Just staying in the room and listening to them for 1 hour is going to begin to give you a sense of the way they think, So doing that, I think if you should do that faithfully, it's going to help you and get you started to thinking rightly. Are you fine, Samuel?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you so much for all the insightful contributions. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Sam. I think we have one question in the chat from Stewart. What should I look out for in a product manager interview, and how can I stand out? I think, Stewart, just to help Seun help you better, what level are you looking at? Entry level, mid level, or do you want him to speak to it generally?
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Let's go ahead. Stewart, are you still there? Network. I think she should be back soon. Does anyone have any other question?
Yeah, just a quick one.
Yes.
So how do I know that I am ready for a senior role as a mid-level PM? How do I know that I'm ready to take up senior roles? And what do I need to do to prepare myself for such interviews? I mean, right now I'm mid-level and I'm looking to get into the senior part, but I'm not sure I'm ready yet. So what should I look out for?
So there are 2 major ways to get into the senior parts. One of the ways is to get into the senior parts from your organization. And the second way to get into the senior part is another organization seeing that you're valuable enough and employing you as a senior. So for the first one, to get into the senior, it is also organization agnostic. So what you need to do is to talk to your manager. Now, your manager could be your CTO or something. Have that conversation. Don't be afraid to have that conversation. Book a session. Let us define it. What can I do to be a senior in our current company? Have that conversation. Then when they tell you that, okay, we need to see this initiative from you, we need to see this from you, we need to see that from you, then tell them that, okay, if I'm able to do this within the next, let's say 6 to 12 months to 18 months, can I be promoted to become a senior? Have that conversation. And if they say yes, of course, it's not going to be this easy, right? But once that is defined, then within your company, you now start working towards what you can do to be called senior. Then that way, it's going to take a while. Once you're able to achieve all those things, you meet all your KPIs, you define your OKRs and you crush them. Once that is done, then within your current company, you can rise from mid-level to becoming senior. And from there onwards, if you want to join a new organization, you're joining as a senior. Secondly, It could be that you leave your current organization and join an organization that absorbs you as a senior product manager. And the way for a company to do that, they must really perceive you as a senior, right? There are acts around it. And let me tell you one of the acts. So let's say I've worked as a mid-level product manager for company A for about 2 to 3 years, and I want to join company B as a senior. The way you can do it is by crushing their interviews. Now, product management interviews could be pretty difficult, especially for certain kind of organizations. You hear that some organizations have like 6-level interviews, right? So once you're able to crush the interview, crush their case study, and they might perceive you as valuable enough to be senior, and they just absorb you in as a senior product manager. And yes, and just to answer what somebody too has asked about product manager interviews, I would advise you, right, to do 2 things. Go to YouTube and watch product manager mock interviews. I don't know if there's anybody here that's watched like mock interviews on YouTube. If you have, just indicate in the chat. I'm checking.
I
out.
do every day. I watch mock interviews. That's what I do. 2 hours of my time.
Awesome. Now, do you see how difficult some of those mock interviews could be? Right?
Yes.
Now, from some of those mock interviews, right, an organization can already tell your seniority level. So I joined certain Slack channels, right? And I discovered that, and this is where I tell Africans too, we are saying we're applying for global jobs, they are not taking us in, but a lot of us are not preparing. Let me tell you what other people are doing in other parts of the world, in Europe and in the US and in Canada. I joined some Slack communities, and a lot of people do mock interview preparations. Some people even do it weekly, right? Where other people that are looking for product manager interviews are the ones interviewing them, coming up with a different case study that they've never seen. Now, I saw people that were applying for associate product managers interview in companies like Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Some of these guys, they did as much as 20 to 40 hours of interview preparations before they applied or while they were applying. So imagine someone that has prepared that much, right? The seniority level perception that they might have of that person, someone that has prepared for about 20 to 40 hours doing different mock interviews, is definitely going to be more than somebody that just watch a random 1-hour YouTube video and just goes into an interview, right? So you want to make sure that you prepare well. In fact, there are Udemy courses, there are courses online that are dedicated strictly to PM interview preparations. Strictly to PM interview preparation. So taking those kind of prep interviews, doing mock interviews with friends. I will advise you, if you have peers that are looking for roles, do it with them. Then people in product, is a Nigerian Slack community. They also do that interview prep every week. You know, in getting yourself involved in communities like that and just preparing like that is going to set you up for success if you are targeting an IR role by joining a new organization.
Okay.
Okay.
From you about saying something.
No, I said thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Stewart, did I also answer your question, or do you still want it addressed?
Not really. I don't. Okay, so I get the part of the senior part, but in this case, I already have my reporting line, so I'm going to be reporting to, according to them, I already have my reporting line, so I'm going to be reporting to like a senior person. So most likely, I'm going to be a mid-level product manager, not a senior product manager, because I already have like my reporting line. So I just needed to know what else I can do to just stand out in terms of the interview. That's just.
Pretty much some of the things you said, I believe it applies to all levels, right? It applies to all levels. Like the guys that I told you that I saw were preparing for 20 to 40 hours. They were not even applying for senior level roles. They were applying for associate PMs. That is associate product manager roles. And it's just that they were applying to big companies like Facebook, Google, and the rest. You can't just just do a 30 minutes interview and say you want to join Facebook or Google, they'll drill you, right? So it applies to all levels. And this is the way I talk to some of the guys that I've probably mentored and stuff. Even if you're an associate, even if you're looking for an associate role, prepare as though you're preparing for a senior level role, right? Just like what they say aim for the sky and you might end up among the stars. So that is like the right mindset to have towards it. But see, what if you have specific questions, I will try to see if I can answer that.
Okay, thank you, Shem. So guys, there's a link in the chat box. I would really like us to share our feedback, because I know once you leave this call, it will be hard to get you to respond. We need this for planning purposes. For those of you that know I like to plan and work with data, so that I'm not just, we are not doing activity. I'm not a fan of that, right? So chat him on Twitter. On Twitter, he shared his. Please, could you share your Twitter profile? So please, your feedback. The link is there. So I don't know if anyone has any other question. Oh, you're not on Twitter. You can check him on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn? Okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so my question is really about around like relationship between product managers and software engineers. So there are times although for you, since you are coming from software engineering background, I really don't think it may apply. So let's say your product manager doesn't have technical background, and the product that you are working on he doesn't understand the technical details or how complex it is, and also the maybe UI design guy also doesn't have a technical background. He doesn't code, so he just does his normal design and then push out. So sprints are being set, and those sprints are set. And when you look at it from a technical perspective, you discover that there's just no way this thing is going to be possible. Like this sprint is actually not going to be successful. So, and when you try to explain that, it's like you are hitting against the rock. So how do you manage such issues, such differences that show up? Hello?
Yeah. So I had your question. So I was trying to pull something from my system. By the way, I have a YouTube channel where I randomly talk about product management stuff on YouTube. So there's a video I just dropped in the link. The video is how to work with software engineers as a product manager. We had initially established in the call that you don't necessarily need a software engineering background to be software and to be a product manager, but you need to know how to work with software engineers as a product manager. So this is something that every product manager must consciously build, right? As you become senior, I mean, I've worked with some product managers that don't have engineering background, but I discovered that as they become senior, they are more comfortable in having conversation with software engineers. They understand what APIs are, they know what might work, they know what tokens are, they know what querying a database is. As you become more senior, right, you understand these things. So there are two things you can do as a product manager. First, without a software engineering background, you must learn at some point, right? You will have to learn some things that are technical somewhat. I mean, I was thinking of doing a course one time on Udemy, but I've not had time, man. I was thinking of doing a course, software engineering for product managers, where I talk about some of the things, some of the terms you need to know when working with product managers, right? But as you work with them, you're going to pick it up. But at the same time, you also have to be more intentional. So you are working with a particular organization and they are very heavy on APIs. You know, APIs are not like physical products that you see and click. Now, if you're a product manager within that particular space, you have to then level up. So you might have to take courses on APIs and whatnot. Or let's say a product manager for a product that heavily relies on machine learning, data science, or artificial intelligence. Then you have to level up so that you can have certain kind of conversations with your engineers and with your stakeholders, generally speaking, right? So just know what your company needs, level up in that regard. But don't be scared because you're like, oh, there's a lot to learn, right? Take your time, join your organization, know the knowledge gap you currently have, then try to level up. And I can assure you that with experience, as you work with them, it gets better. There are certain people that after 2-3 years, without taking any course, they already know these things because they talk about it every day. And when you have a conversation with an engineer, you don't know what it is, you quickly go to YouTube, check out one video, you've learned something, you quickly read a blog post. I mean, by the time you do that consistently and faithfully for about 6 months, you are going to have grown exponentially. So it's now the onus on the product manager to level up. And I think this video that I just dropped in the link might give you more perspective.
Hello.
Yep. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. It looks as if you answered for product managers. You did not answer for software engineers. So like, okay, the product manager and all the team, like they are not technical people. They don't know about UI, maybe creating components, API, testing, and all the things that you do. All they just know is that, oh, the stuff is working as expected. So, and they now load up tasks and set up the sprint on Jira and then click start. And you are trying to explain to them like these tasks, like they are really heavy. Like it's not something that looks as if it's going to be completed in like 2 weeks. And they themselves, they are just seeing it as normal text or maybe just description of tasks and user stories. And you are trying to explain all the things that you need to do behind the scenes for one ticket to be moved. And it looks as if like maybe you are trying to defend yourself. So in that case, as a software engineer, not the product manager now, so how do you communicate that there is a lot of work that needs to be done to a product manager who doesn't have technical background and doesn't want to admit that? So how do you work with that?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I focus on the program management side of things because, of course, this was supposed to be a program manager gathering. And in fact, when you check out the video, there are some things that I might not be able to say now that I probably talked about in that video. But this is the thing. You see, I've always said this, even when I was a software engineer, that it is more important to have soft skills than to have hard skills. Not even as a product manager, even as a software engineer. And this is why you see that software engineers that work from companies like Andela were very different, because we did not just focus on our technical skills. It's not as if we were better than people, technically speaking. We've interacted with very intelligent people, right? But when we're working for the organization, we also we're building soft skills on the other side. And what are some of the soft skills to have? One of the most important soft skills to have is communication, right? Where you are able to pass across the idea you have in your head to the other party in a way that they will understand. So there are certain, okay, let's say when I was working as a software engineer, and I was talking to non-technical people, there were certain terms I would not necessarily use. I will also talk in a way that they will understand. If you propose something to me as a software engineer, right, I won't just push back. I also have to push back and give you extra information. Now, what are some of the extra informations I have to give? I can push back and also give you a suggestion that, okay, this is what you want. How about we do it this way? You propose something to me, I can also come back with a timeline and break things down for you in a way that you're going to see it and in a way that you will understand. Now, this is now how product managers and software engineers should be working as a team. I see a lot of people throw bans on Twitter, software engineers throwing bans at PMs, PMs throwing bans at software engineers. The truth of the matter is this: if both parties knew how to communicate their ideas properly and come into a place where they can align, it won't be a problem. You can talk with some of the software engineers I've worked with. Some of the problems that PMs face in terms of timeline, engineers are not doing this. I've hardly faced that with the engineers I've worked with. And I don't think it's because I had a software engineering background, because there are people with software engineering background that face that problem. But the reason why I was able to solve that thing is because I was able to align and communicate with them, right? So one important element of communication is something like negotiation. So my stakeholders are saying they want to get something achieved within 3 weeks. I speak with the software engineer, and the software engineer said, do you know what, all this requirement is going to take 8 weeks. At that point, what we need to do is not to start throwing bans at each other and arguing on what is possible and what is not possible. What the software engineers and the product managers need to do at that point is to have some sort of negotiation. Okay, this is not possible, right? Then the software engineer communicates what is possible. That, okay, for us to do the UI, 2 weeks, this one is 2 weeks. Then at that point, the next level communication will now be prioritization. That, okay, if all this is not possible, let us prioritize based on what is most important for the business. Okay, the software engineer tell you that, okay, the top priority can be achieved in 2 weeks, the next priority can be achieved in so and so time. Then it is now the work of the product manager to now take that heavy conversation they've had with the software engineers to the stakeholders and say, do you know what? You wanted us to do this within 3 weeks. This is not possible. It might take 8 weeks. However, we can prioritize and push out and roll out the most important feature. I mean, this is something that I can talk about for 1 hour, how to navigate the dynamics of that entire communication. And a lot of these things I'm talking about, I share it on my YouTube channel, right? So something like this is going to help.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I will really subscribe to that YouTube channel. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone. So, guys, I've really not seen our feedback about. It's not fair. It's just tick, 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 and you are done. So please share your feedback. And I'm not sure if anyone has any other question for Sheon, because I know he has somewhere to run to. So we don't want to keep him longer than we should, so that in case we want him to come back next time, in case you want him to come back next time, because this one you are not sharing feedback, I'll just shut down below me. So, okay, in the absence of any question, I think you can, while filling the online form, you could also drop the comments on the chat, right? And you could also decide to unmute and just say 1 or 2 things in closing so that we can let share. Yeah, I know Fumi would. Fumi, that's if we did this for you.
Yeah, I feel so too. Okay, so I just want to ask one last question. Sheon. So, Sheon, would you advise that we answer case studies according to how we want the company to perceive us, or we should just answer it generally based on how the solution should come up? Because I see a lot of case studies, and okay, for instance, there was one company I interviewed with in Europe, and they gave me a case study, and before the case study, I had an interview with them, and they were really impressed, but I said I wasn't going on anymore with them. I wasn't really into the whole space and all. And I advised that. So the case study was like 4 pages and all of those things, 4 different questions I was to write on roadmap and all. So I asked that, would they want me to answer this case study based on the solution I think that will work for the company or for the future they were proposing? Or I should answer the case study based on what they expect? I don't even know if I'm phrasing the question
Yeah.
right.
So this is what you should do. I mean, you are
What
looking
would
for.
that be for case studies? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So
Because
I
they
think
can kill you on these case study questions.
I think I get what you are trying to say, right? So this is the deal. You want an opportunity. And this is, I won't advise you to have be asking the question that you do answer the case study based on this or based on that. If there are different scenarios, all right, prepare case study for all the scenarios. It's going to put you in a better place, because sometimes you don't really know what it is that they are looking out for. It could be that their one is what will work. It could be that it's your own that will work. So if there's anything, right, put it out there. One thing I've realized from case studies is that people are not too bored to hear your ideas if they're interesting. So if you can present it in a very strong way, then of course you should do that. Now, the one you're even talking about is written case studies, right? Am I correct?
Yes, written case studies.
Yeah.
Not on the spot.
Yeah, but more organizations are currently moving over to on the spot case studies. So my current role, I'm going to give you the kind of case study that I worked on. So the case study was, it was a 5-man interview. 5 people were interviewing me for that case study. And that case study was broken down into 3 sessions. The first session was on a general problem. The second question was on their industry. And the third question was future of technology. That was all they told me before the interview. But I'd already been preparing different case study, watching different stuff. Okay, when I got there, the head of product, VP of product, told me to pick a particular industry. I just talked about an industry. Of course, an industry that you've never worked on before. They started giving me case study of that industry on the spot. Now, and this is why I say people should learn the intricacies of how to crush case studies. Now, one of the major tips I learned from watching different videos is that when you are even doing video case studies, on the spot case studies, when they ask you questions, don't be in a haste to answer. As you were asking question, I was writing. Then I will ask them for more context. Before I answer my questions, are you seeing what I'm doing? I will ask them further questions. That, do you mean this is this? As they are talking, I'm gathering my thoughts together. I'm drawing something. Sometimes I'll say, okay, give me 1 minute. Let me think through it. Then I answered my questions. So that was one very big tip I learned. And that was one mistake I used to learn, I made before, where they ask you a question, you are too forward to want to answer. You can just be saying rubbish. So you begin to ask more clarifying questions. It does 2 things for you. It gives you room to think. Then it also gives you room to get more context as to what that person is thinking in their mind. That was one. We did general this thing. Like I said, 5 people interviewed me, and all of them were senior people, senior data scientists, senior this, senior that. The next one was a problem within their industry. So another thing I had to learn was to learn about the industry. Now, the industry is ad tech, advertisement technology. I don't think we have any startup in Africa that does ad tech. All right, the only companies that have an entity in Africa that does ad tech is probably Google and Facebook. So I had to do a lot of learning about that particular industry so that I was saying things that made sense to them. Then lastly, talk about future of technology. Okay, for me, that's my very strong point. I studied physics in school, so I knew things like quantum computing, quantum modeling, and the rest. I was just seeing everything, you get. So learning how to undo case study is like a different topic on its own. And there are lots of resources online that would adequately prepare you for that. There are even topics online that will prepare you. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I have one last one? I promise, last one ever.
All right, go ahead. This is the last question.
Okay, how do you deal with imposter syndrome on the job? So after you got in the job, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, that's a very brilliant question. So I would say this: everybody deals with, or everybody had to deal with imposter syndrome at some point. I've spoken with senior people, and I was so shocked that someone that's a senior PM had to still deal with imposter syndrome. Imagine you're a product manager and you left an organization, maybe they let you go because they felt you were not performing well, and you get a role with a new organization. The truth is that imposter syndrome is going to kick in. That, oh, does it mean I'm not good enough? This one, that one. First, I want to let you know, if you ever feel that way, or if you are feeling that way, nothing is wrong with you. Everybody feels that way. Even myself, when I got to Germany, new country, new industry, I felt that way, that, oh boy, am I good enough for this? Am I sure I've not made a mistake? Am I sure I've not made a mess of myself? So everybody feels that way. So one of the things to do is to always remind yourself of your successes in the time past. You know, sometimes maybe when you hit a brick wall, there's the temptation to always think about the times you failed, how you failed, how you have done things better, how you're not good enough. It's very important to take your mind off that. So first of all, the first thing is to know that everybody feels that way, no matter how good you are. Everybody feels that way. Second thing is to always remind yourself of the times you succeeded, right? Remind yourself of the times you succeeded and say, okay, if I succeeded in this particular time, then I can do it now. Another thing is to talk to yourself and to say, you know what, people that are doing it, they don't have two heads, right? I'm not a motivational speaker, but at a point like this, you have to find a way to motivate yourself that, no, these guys don't have two heads. If you have to listen to motivational speakers or something, or listen to your spouse or something to ginger you, do that. Listen, then put yourself in a community of people that will inspire you and build up your confidence, not people that will put you down. At that point, you don't need people that will put you down. Talk to senior people, talk to people that motivate you, and build that confidence from there. Then next up, be honest with yourself, be sincere with yourself, know the areas that you really, really need to level up on. So if, let's say, communication or stakeholder management, time management has always been your weak point, then know that area that you need to really tackle. Be honest with yourself and, throw in the weight to leveling up in that particular area to a point where you become so knowledgeable and so good enough that that particular area doesn't seem to put you down. So I think that's the way we always deal with imposter syndrome. Like in this place, this is a new industry for me and whatnot. And one of the things I've done to deal with imposter syndrome is to talk to people in the industry, right? I'm not somebody that drinks beer, but next week, somebody that has been in the industry for years invited me they called it after work beers. Even if I'm not necessarily going to drink beer, I'm going to go to that particular meeting so that I can socialize and get as much information as I can get, right? So by the time I do that and I arm myself with enough knowledge with the industry, knowledge is one of the ways to amputate imposter syndrome. So I do that. Those are the things that will kill the imposter syndrome. Then lastly, there are lots of resources online that talks about how to deal with imposter syndrome. There are lots of blog posts, there are lots of videos that talk about how to deal with imposter syndrome. I think dealing with imposter syndrome is one of the videos I'm going to be releasing later in the year, maybe in Q3 or in Q4. So you can check online for resources, and just arm yourself with the right kind of knowledge. So thank you. This is where we have to draw in the curtains, and probably I'll talk to everybody some other time.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. This has been awesome. Personally, I'm not looking at going into product management, but with what I do around projects and all, this has really been insightful. And also is to say thank you for even agreeing to do this, right? At the short notice, remember we finally concluded a few days back. We know the back end story, but thank you. Thank you for waking up early to come join us. We are grateful. We hope that when we bring you live next time, when we reach out for you to come live, you oblige us. So I think over 43 people registered, and we peaked at 22, so they're like 50% attendance, which I feel has been great. And so thank you once again. The feedback has been coming in. God bless the 8 people that have filled my feedback. The remaining of you, like Fumilayo, I'm looking at you. Anyways, thank you once again. So I don't know if anyone wants to unmute and just
Fumilola.
Fumilola, whatever Fumi it is. You've not filled my feedback. Okay, Sean is still around. So does someone want to quickly say a quick thank you on behalf of everyone on the call so that we call it a wrap? Temila, you're muted. Fatima, do you want to speak? Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so
You're muted, please.
oh, sorry. So I said I'm just a beginner in product management, just beginning my interest, and I didn't have a lot of questions to ask, but most of the questions people ask here really helped me. And I want to say thank you to everyone that attended the session, and to Sharon, thank you so much. It was really insightful, and I think I have a sort of direction now based on this session. So thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Okay, thank you, Praise. So thank you once again, everyone. Look at your feedback, and we'll see how we can do this more often based on your area of interest and need. That is where we'll be channeling it going forward. We'll not just be doing random stuff, because random does not help anyone. Thank you once again. It's been great. Thank you to the alumni, my alumni association colleagues for the support. And, I'll share the recording once it's ready, and we can catch up on it. So thank you once again. And you can share feedback on the general group so that at least your colleagues will know how it went, because I know we have quite a lot to do to get people to believe in the organization. Anyways, going forward. But again, thank you. Have a great weekend.